Unknown Space presents a product of boredom, a product of nothingness.
Anything you want me to be.
What's up, guys?
Hi.
What's up, man?
What's up? There's a lot of things that are up.
There's a lot of things that are up, and we want to talk about some. Obviously, we can't get a lot in because, like we just said, there are a lot of things going on right now. First and foremost, I'm Tom.
I'm Isaac.
I'm Eddie.
I'm Luis.
Yeah, last time we had, it was just Isaac, Luis, and I, but now we have Eddie, so if everyone wants to say hi, Eddie.
Hi, Eddie.
Hi, Eddie.
Hi, everyone. It's good to be here.
The last time we recorded, we asked a pretty relevant question that we probably didn't know at the time, a week from when we recorded, that it would become even more relevant. And I think that question was, who watches the Watchmen? So this is all in the midst of, not really in the midst, I mean, obviously this is all following the death of George Floyd. And now that we see all these protests and such, which is a great thing, by the way, the protests, and who watches the Watchmen? I think that's more relevant now than ever. And with these protests came the charges that were put on George Floyd's murderers. But that came after all these protests, all these definitely over 1 million people that joined in to get these, murderers in prison, or, get them charged. So, are we the Watchmen, is my question.
I definitely think the people are the Watchmen, and when higher powers fail, it has to go into the hands of the people.
Isn't that kind of like such a harsh reality, though, that it has to take over 1 million people? I don't even know the exact number of all these protests.
There's so many.
Yeah, it's definitely has to be over 1 million people. I mean, we're even seeing it worldwide in France, and I don't really know any other place, but there are more places, I think.
Like Japan.
Yeah?
Hmm.
What's up?
Japan, England, Korea, I think I've seen.
It's a great thing. But it's also a harsh thing that all these people, like I said, over 1 million, probably over 2 billion, I don't know, probably over 2 million, that it takes that much to get these people that are supposed to, protect us into the system like that. Isn't that a harsh reality that we have to step up to that role?
Yeah, and considering like how much pushback there's been from like the government, just like obviously there's more to this than just having those 4 people being arrested and convicted, but like all the government had to do was just put them into custody right away to at least kind of hope, I guess. I don't know where I'm going, but
No, I get what you're saying.
yeah, to not make things worse than it already was.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think that like if they just stepped in and like immediately prosecuted those 4 men, that there wouldn't be all this like good change that's coming about recently.
and this is like the same tweet that's been going around, how, you know, they'd I actually forgot what the tweet said, but it's along the lines of how they'd rather keep for their own, I forget actually, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they'd rather arrest all these random people,
Yes.
and subject them to violence than just arrest these 4 dudes that were caught on video killing someone.
Yeah, and it's like, for one, you remember that, like, the other night, I think it was yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, those, like, police, and I think it was, was it Indianapolis? Where, it was not Indianapolis, it was in New York. I don't know how I got those mixed up, but, those police that, like, pushed that old man over.
Oh yeah.
You know, they were let go. They were let, like, free.
Yeah.
I heard about it sometime earlier, but I don't remember the specific details.
Yeah. For one, they pleaded not guilty, even though there's video that was surfacing everywhere of them obviously pushing this old man to the ground. And they were released without bail. And it's like all of this, you know, how as soon as, like, the protests and riots started happening, they were like, you know, oh, we're investigating the murder of George Floyd. How do you, like, investigate something that's caught on camera like that and has been just distributed to, like, the entire world? Even overseas, people have seen it, and that's why, I mean, that was obviously, like, the peak of the summit, which made even, like, France join in, or as you guys say, Japan and such. I don't understand how, you know, you investigate that.
I think it's just, you know, I think they try burying a lot of stuff in, like, bureaucracy and, like, paperwork and stuff like that, just to, like, kind of delay stuff and, like, lessen any charges. Basically, they're just trying to wait out to the point where people don't care. But I think it's very much past the point where people aren't going to just stop caring about it.
That being said, do you guys think this is, like, a turning point in, I don't know, maybe America history? Do you think this is here to stay?
Yeah, I definitely think this is, like, a big turning point, because, like, I don't think things are going to be able to go back to normal after all that's happened and all the protests. Like, people definitely want and need change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even then,
and there's, like, so many people that are willing to fight for it.
What was that, Eddie?
I was just gonna say, even then, you're already seeing, like, a couple states starting to push for, you know, defunding a good amount of police stuff.
Which is exactly what I think people wanted. Obviously, there's a lot more people wanted, but, you know, that might be a good... What's up?
It's a start.
Yeah, it's a start. It's a good starting place, I think. And that just reminds me of, like, when people started protesting. A lot of the... I don't know, they weren't protesting, but counter-protesters, the people who were obviously not on the side of the protests, not on the side of the whole Black Lives Matter movement, how they were saying, you know, oh, protests won't do anything. It won't bring real change. The protests, they've obviously, they're actually doing something, and I think that's cool. And I do think, at least I think they might be here to stay. I hope they're here to stay. I hope this continues. I hope people continue fighting the good fight. I don't know, the National Guard was pulled today, I think. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So that's why today you haven't heard much of the too much of you haven't heard too much about it because they pulled the National Guard. There've been a lot of peaceful protests today, and I think today this is just what I get. I don't, obviously I don't know what's happening everywhere at once, but at least because I've been constantly refreshing Twitter as of late, constantly refreshing, I don't know, any news publications I go to, and today has been one of the more silent days in terms of media, but there's a bunch of protests happening around the world, and that's because a lot of them have been peaceful today.
Well, that's good. I actually haven't really been on social media today, and not too much yesterday. But I did hear some stuff that happened. Like, I think I thought you were gonna get at this with the man, the elderly man that was pushed down.
Oh, what about that?
I think it's that case. Correct? I don't know if I'm right or not. But because you said they were let go, right? Those guys.
Yeah, that again. I think it was the New York saw one of its most peaceful days after those. I think it was 57 cops that.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were gonna get at.
No, but we can, and here we are. So that's also another sign, I guess, that a lot of these cops were the ones instigating the violence. And whatchamacallit, which that just leads me to like this other point I have, which is like, obviously if you're getting I say obviously a lot, I've been saying that a lot, like going back to old people on the last episode and how we're just kind of talking down on them for a cool minute. Like, they're not seeing, because they're not on Twitter, because they're not on social media, they're not seeing that, because CNN and Fox News, because my dad will like switch in between both, and whenever I'm in the living room I might catch it or whatever, you're not seeing the cops are the ones instigating the violence on there. You're seeing they're obviously going to portray the protesters as the ones that are looting and burning stuff. But you go on Twitter and it's a whole different thing where it's the cops that are instigating the violence and the cops that are even destroying stuff in the first place.
I very much think that, like you're saying, that things can't go back to normal. Because, I mean, like everything that the government and the police have done since all of this has started has just made everything like worse. And they have no idea how to like deal with this. And literally, I don't even know if these were true, but those videos of like the child soldiers.
That's something I've been wondering about ever since I saw that, because it seems like that was posted and it got no attention. No one cared enough to even like wonder about it.
Yeah. I seen like 3 different videos that were like of 3 different groups of kids all in like military gear. And I didn't see any like actual articles or anything like linked to it, like any legitimate stuff, but I mean, it was there. It was just there. And I feel like no one really talked about it too much.
I think people have bigger questions right now.
Yeah, I saw that and I completely forgot about it, to be honest. It was like you said, like those couple videos that I saw, and then like nothing. It was just like, why are there kids here? And then no one else questioned it, and that was it.
It was just those videos, and then people are saying like the JROTC students got extra credit or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I haven't seen any follow up with that. And I would like follow up with that, because isn't that illegal? I don't know. Is it?
I'm pretty sure it's illegal, or they're doing some like loopholes or some shit.
Some what?
Like loopholes? I don't know, like I don't know how old those kids are. They look like they were like 12.
Yeah, they looked really young.
There was some that looked even like younger, like the first original video that came out about it. I looked probably like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know how 8-year-olds look, but it looked 8 to me, or like 10, I suppose. Same age range or whatever, but still. Do you guys have any conspiracies on that? Do you guys have any like answers?
I honestly have no idea. Like, I would not be surprised if it was all real. But
I'm sure
even
it
if
is.
it was, even, I'm sure it is too. But even if it's not real, then like, it really isn't the time to be fucking around like that.
Well, what do you mean if it's not real? Like, do you think it's a prank, or what do you mean?
I honestly don't know, because I really think it's real. But if it's not, I think there is a chance that it's not. But yeah, I think it's like some really dumb like prank. I don't even know. Never mind.
Don't straight up just don't know.
How'd you get that many kids to be like, hey guys, put on some fucking body armor and some riot shields?
It was being seen in like a lot of different parts of the United States as well.
Yeah, never mind. I take that all back.
It's real.
Honestly,
I mean,
yeah,
just like-
that's gotta be real.
Just like everyone else, I kind of just saw it the one time and brushed it off because nothing really clicked about it. I kind of just saw it as a joke because, you know, kids in military gear, that's kind of...
It's kind of
The dude asking what their kill streak was.
Did somebody actually?
Yeah,
I didn't see
He's
that.
like, there's this one dude asking that if they made it out the gulags.
I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I kind of brushed it off the first time I saw it, but I eventually, now I'm kind of wondering, just because you brought it back to my attention, what's with all that? Do you think it was a tactic of some sort?
Maybe they just needed like more people, and they were like, "Hey, child labor. Who cares? We're already doing all this illegal shit anyways."
Yo, speaking of that, I haven't seen anyone that's against like the protests also complain about how the police are like getting rid of water bottles and like tearing them up and shit.
Breaking the law.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of those same people comment on like even those videos of like the police breaking stuff. Like now all of a sudden you're you know, not against destruction of property.
Yeah, and I've seen a few of those videos where they're like breaking in like glass windows and stuff like that. And a lot of the time people are saying it's because they're getting rid of the extra glass because it's a hazard. But when have the police ever cared about like
That.
making things safer?
Why not just board it up?
Yeah.
And I feel like they're probably not going to be the ones to pay for it.
Honestly,
so I do it.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like, it's not just glass we're seeing. Obviously, there's those videos of them putting out bricks and stuff. And those are kind of hazardous, even to themselves. Which, I don't think this has any more questioning to do about it. It's obviously them it's them instigating the violence, I think.
Honestly, there's a lot to keep up with right now.
Way too much. Which is fine, because if this is the turning point in history in the United States, and, you know, maybe even the world, because we are seeing these protests everywhere. Not everywhere else, but in other places that aren't the United States of America. I think a lot of stuff happening right now is only right to be happening. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put that.
And I think it's been due for a while. I don't know, man. Imperialism really messed up the world.
Where do you think it goes from here?
Defunding the police and like pretty much abolishing the police as we know it. But a lot of people don't realize that the funding that goes towards the police would be, you know, replaced with other agencies. Like, there's obviously still going to be people that like have to make arrests or with uphold the law, but it's like you don't need a gun to like go, I don't know, do a traffic stop. There needs to be more agencies that like deal with separate issues. It basically be like having a firefighter also be a cop. Is like the way I think of it. Like that'd make no sense. So you might as well have, you know, a larger pool of places you can direct stuff towards.
Yeah, there's a lot of other. I mean, just like the shit. What was the LA budget? I think the LA budget was like $3 billion. I think.
Yeah, it was like $3 billion.
And I think 54% of it was going to the LAPD.
I just keep seeing people talk about how it was like the drill tweet, where he was trying to manage his like rent and stuff, but he spent like $2,000 on candles.
Point is, 54% budget out of a $3 billion budget is a lot. And from these protests, we luckily see that now 100 to 150 million is being reinvested into communities of color. And that is also a great thing. That is still just a little bit out of a $3 billion budget. But again, that's a start. I think with more pressure from the people and more protests, we could eventually get more, I suppose.
Sorry, I just did the math. I think it's 1.62 billion. That's 54%.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, shit, that's still a lot.
And I saw the thing talking about how much it costs to fully equip someone with riot gear, and it basically be able to like fully outfit like, I don't know, like 25 doctors.
Really?
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah.
That's tragic. And how much cops are out there on the daily? I mean, at least during these protests with the riot gear on.
Yo, one thing though. After like all those protests to like opening up the economy during Corona, there were a bunch of houses in my neighborhood that took down their Blue Lives Matter flags. But now that these protests are happening, they're all back up.
Damn. That's, I don't know.
I thought you were going somewhere like nice with that, like with the protests.
Oh, no.
Who took down their flags. Like.
I wish.
It's like out, but in the midst of these protests, they stayed down. Rightfully so. No, but that's pretty. Lodi has actually seen some stuff happening, which is surprising. There was a protest today. I was telling Eddie about it earlier, because my brother and I, we drove by it. And as far as Lodi goes, it was pretty sizely, which I am actually proud of Lodi, because the one thing I could tell you about Lodi is, honestly, Lodi is pretty racist and stupid, and to see that much people protesting against police brutality, impunity, and everything of that nature was...
Yeah, I didn't even know up until now, my bad. I even know up until now that there were that many, closed-minded and racist people in Lodi.
Yeah, you see, like, I've been thinking about this just because, like, recently with, even before the whole George Floyd police brutality, Black Lives Matter protests, like before that with the whole opening up the economy protests, like it started there because after high school, because I don't go out a lot, I don't participate in like, I don't know, fucking football games here. Like, basically after high school, that was kind of my ultimate excuse to detach myself from Lodi. So past high school, it's like when I entered college, I haven't heard much from these people of Lodi because I myself have no reason to. But in the midst of the whole economy collapsing and those protests, it's like these people started talking again. They were louder than ever. And even now, in the protests that are happening now, you see, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen these like Facebook groups of a lot of Lodi people, racist fucks and stupid fucks, where it's like they're kind of trying to counter the protests with their racism and hate. Have you guys seen those?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen the people talking about how they want to shoot the protesters.
Yeah, like, I just, after high school, I didn't hear these people talking. I don't know what my point is. Just point is shut the fuck up. I don't know. This has been like a, a conversation going around. And, I suppose I'm guilty of it with a lot of, events happening before all the George Floyd protests. But that's, silence, man. Well, yeah, like my friends have pointed this out with like my brother and I, and even you, Isaac, that we've obviously been more active on social media when it comes to politics, which I, for one, am guilty of silence when it comes to this conversation. I don't know who says it, but you know that quote where it's like, silence, if you choose to be silent, you have chosen the side of the oppressor.
Yeah.
Which I'm very much guilty of with every one of these events leading up to this one. And like I said, I've also noticed like you, Isaac, have been pretty active with this stuff on social media. What broke your silence is like my question.
I actually been thinking about this too. Like about my own silence. Basically it was just like, it was the George Floyd video, definitely. And I realized that like, I think it might have just been me growing up. Cause I've seen tons of videos of people just getting murdered. And I haven't felt anything before this actually. And like, I say that lightly, but like, I think it's just the way I've grown up. I've been very like desensitized to it.
Yeah, the desensitization to it.
And so like, it was kind of the norm for me. Like, oh, another person died. The school shootings that were happening left and right. And it was like, it felt normal for people to die and get murdered.
So what do you think changed in you now?
I don't know, actually. I really don't. But I'm kind of glad that it did, because I definitely can feel for a lot more people now than I did before.
Personally, I think it's like, because like you, I've also been desensitized to these things. But yet at the same time, I've always known these things are wrong. Yet I would be silent about all these things. But I think I've gotten to the point of my growth, I suppose, where I've come to realize my silence is too loud. My silence became too loud, and I think that's what broke my silence on these things. What age were you when you like really actively got into this stuff?
I think around like 2015. It was like,
I wish I was in 2015. I was dumb as shit.
Same. It was edgy as hell.
I was edgy as fuck, and I don't think that's any place for politics.
I definitely was. I was a little edgy like freshman year when I was like 14. But like, I don't know, high school? I don't really know what it was, but fuck, I don't know what I'm talking about. It was GSA. It was definitely fucking GSA.
So it was GSA?
Yeah.
Why did that just like open your eyes more, or?
I don't know. I was around a lot of really left-leaning people, and so I think that definitely like helped influenced that. And I think 2015 is when I started becoming a lot more aware of like my position in the world and politics. And it really changed a lot more in like 2018 is when I started being more vocal about it. Because I remember I used to like be worried about like posting political stuff for like whatever reason. I don't know. I felt like people would start to think I was annoying or something like that.
See, for some childish reason and immature reason, did I too feel that it would become like annoying to followers, but to followers, friends, even probably family. But I mean, as you start to grow up in this world, and I don't even mean age or whatever, I mean really see the world, really understand, empathize and such, it becomes more apparent that this is no place to be silent. This world is no place to not have an opinion, to not just shit, did I say that wrong? This world is not made for fuck, what was I saying? Do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. Like, this world is too, like...
It's too loud to be silent.
Yeah. And it's too shitty for you to not, like, say anything about the stuff that's going on. There's too much stuff going on for you to not... to be quiet about it. To try to change it. Yeah.
And if I could play my little role in, you know, making these stuff more apparent to, let's say, even one follower, then I think that's not doing my part to the fullest, but that's still doing something. And like you said, you know, this world is too shitty to not... I forget what you said, but yeah.
Basically, it's too shitty to not try to intervene in some way, shape, or form.
Well, this is Eddie saying thank you for listening to part 2 of Who Watches the Watchmen. Y'all have a wonderful night. Thank you for coming in.